we've been known as the Too Hot Tamales on television. So Mexican,
Too, T-O-O.
yeah, very hot.
Very.
When I started cooking, I was one of 2 women in a class of 100 on the south side of Chicago at a trade tech school where there were plumbers and auto mechanics and chefs. It wasn't a sexy thing to be a chef. But I thought for sure that by the time I was 67, 50 years later, that women would be ruling the kitchen and ruling the industry because we're so good at it, and it's such a kind of in our DNA to be hospitable and take care of people. Yet, here we are, 2025, and women, maybe have 7% of the high-ranking jobs in the industry. So,
even though over 50% of the people that go to culinary schools are women. From when we started to now, particularly with social media and the ability on Instagram and TikTok to be out there, the media for the culinary world has changed dramatically. Instead of it just being a review in a newspaper, you now have the ability, and I think it gives chefs a voice, very different than before. So it's not just about food, but it's about how chefs can affect change in very different ways. The ability now, I think, is really wonderful, that you don't have to have a lot of money, and if you're a restaurateur, you can get on social media and you can have a voice there and make a really powerful statement. So I think for Mary Sue and I, it's really great because it does open up doors for many people that may not have a voice out there. When we were approached and we were getting the Julia Child Award at the Smithsonian, that combination was, I think, for both of us, no matter how much we had gotten in the past and awards we had gotten, usually it was like the Lifetime Achievement Award, and we'd get it 50-50. That's how we said it. We were like half a Lifetime Achievement Award. But I think, for both of us, that award at the Smithsonian, having the dinner, it was truly, I think, magical.
We were the first women to be honored. And I think they really did recognize the fact that Susan and I have spent, well, we like to say we were in the nonprofit industry for the first 30 years of our careers.
I hope we're not going back into it.
I hope not either. We've lived through a lot. We've been in business 44 years together. There have been, multiple fires. There's been earthquakes. There's been riots. There's been the earthquake in Santa Monica took the front of our restaurant down. Then, through the pandemic and this last 5 years, I think we look at adversity as, an opportunity.
People say how our partnership's longer than most marriages, which is true. And I think change has been something that we've been able to really adjust to. Maybe it's through therapy, each in our own individual and couples, yeah. But I think, that amazing thing is the strength of our partnership. When things get tough, that's when I feel like our partnership is so strong. You need to make sure that you're communicating with the people who work for you. And if it's not the right fit for the company, then you need to gracefully and respectfully move on more quickly. So it's sort of that thing of fail forward fast.
I think it is a matter of allowing each other to change and allowing each other
and to grow
in different directions. We don't have to always do exactly the same thing at the same time. That's how we started. But we have spent a lot of time giving back to the community from day one in every way we possibly can.
And I think our philosophy has always been is that the community supports us in our work, so we need to support the community.
Well, during the pandemic, we had to close all our restaurants, of course. And our restaurant downtown, we really quickly realized that it was going to be quite a while before it could reopen because of the big skyscrapers were not going to have any people coming back to downtown. So we really worked to engage with the community and who needed food and how we could keep our employees working and getting paychecks. That was the most important thing at first. But then we realized that, we got a grant from World Central Kitchen, and we were able to feed all the first responders and the people on the front lines giving, medical care. So we went to clinicians' offices and we dropped off food for them to eat right there, but also to take home. And then that grew into other projects where we could feed through, like the People Concern or the Weingart Center, could feed people who are insecure on the streets without homes. That really has been something that we've sustained. It's really interesting to see that all of our old servers and hosts and kitchen people from Border Grill downtown are still working for us, but they're doing something completely different, which is 3,000 meals a day. And we have a refrigerated truck. We take it around all over Los Angeles County and drop off meals for people who need it.
It was completely a shift in our business. I mean, we'd had, a kitchen where we did catering from, but this was a very different model for us. And during COVID, we learned more about how to sort of go after that.
And when the fires hit in LA, our team was incredible. They added another 1,500 to 2,000 meals a day.
Overnight.
Without ever even missing a beat. And we put those meals onto our 2 trucks, and we took them to the Palisades and also to Altadena.
At some point, we moved from being out in Pasadena at the convention center there, where, like Mary Sue said, we were doing about 2,000 meals a day. And then we moved to PCH, where we were feeding the firefighters that were on 24-hour shifts. It was crazy. You'd see these trucks from Colorado, from, Texas, that were all their firefighters. Yeah, it was amazing.
They drove across the country.
It was educational for all of us. And these kinds of things just bring the community and the people that work for us together, where they feel really proud to be a part of a team that does that.
We founded Regarding Her sort of at first in response to the pandemic as just a bunch of women restaurateurs getting together every week on Zoom to try to figure out how to navigate this new world. And we now have 1,300 members in the LA County community. We also have a beta community in DC. And what we do, the vision and the mission, is to accelerate the careers of women in food and beverage, to really help amplify their message and what they're doing, spread the word about where their restaurants are. Also to really get the economic mobility jump started for women. The end goal is gender parity in the restaurant industry.
There's such a glass ceiling there for women in the industry. And I think it's still there. Obviously, from what Mary Sue is saying, it's still there. But I think the more that we're able to be mentors to people that are either working for us or out there with a voice, that's something that for both of us has been always extremely important. And part of, I think, what makes this career so satisfying for us.
I've met so many wonderful young entrepreneurs through Regarding Her that are just coming up, and now I'm on speed dial. They could call and say, I'm negotiating my lease, or I need a new bank. You know what I say, East-West.
Just about 5 or 6 years ago, we created a culinary program at the Los Angeles LGBT Center, which is intergenerational. The fact that it now is giving these youth and seniors that have come in off the street, that go through this program, to have skills to be able to cook for themselves and see things that they've never seen, and also to have these seniors that are working with these youth who've been kicked out of their families, who now have the support of seniors, and seniors that have been pushed in the closet to now have youth that are there and interacting. So I just love that food has a way of bringing people together. And at the center, we've seen how, that has really given people the confidence to go out and get a job.
Out in Palm Springs, the LGBTQ community has really embraced Alice B, which is at Living Out, this 55 and older LGBTQ apartment complex. And we got onto the list of the 100 best restaurants in California, which I think says a lot to the fact that our populations are aging. They deserve good, healthy food. We Susan and I really wanted to take what we do and offer it up there, hoping that it would grow into, the entire Palm Springs area loving the restaurant, which it has so far.
What I love is the fact that you have a restaurant that's a known restaurant and serving, food that's interesting and thinking about health and sustainability, but also being connected to the community that live at the complex, the apartment complex there, which is 55 and over, basically an LGBTQ community. But what I think these two things have done that's really interesting is to bring people that are living there to a place that could be considered like, their Cheers bar, where they could hang out in the bar. They don't have to know anybody, but they may know the bartender. I mean, the restaurant business is so wonderful about being able to bring people together.
It's important also to just acknowledge that 50 years ago, if you were part of the LGBTQ community and you got older and you lost your partner, you might end up having to go back into the closet in order to exist in a assisted living. This is an idea that is pretty horrible to think. And that's what I love about living out and the idea that, this is a really comfortable, safe place for everybody. I think we really have thought about how to creatively diversify our income stream, and that's why we're building this big 11,000 square foot commissary kitchen down in Huntington Park. And with the help of East West Bank, we were able to use a loan to help build out the kitchen. It's going to be really exciting. We're going to also diversify the income stream further and do things like make co-pack cakes for Goldbelly that are made to the specifications of, say, Martha Stewart or Ina Garten or Duff Goldman. So we're going to really be able to do a lot of new and really cool things.
And to be at the Smithsonian, I mean, you're walking past the Batmobile, you're walking past Dorothy's shoes, and then there's our kitchen right now, not our kitchen, but
there's Julia's kitchen, and then there's my knife kit, and Susan has, a recipe book that she used to keep in her back pocket. So the Smithsonian actually came and curated all kinds of things, some colored chef jacket. The whole process was such an honor. I can't even describe how much an honor.
So professional.